I'm ready to slash and burn.
No quarter. I am going to be uncomfortable and all over you from start to finish.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And today I am here with Brian Boxell, who has a number of very good robots at NHRL, and it was also a member of Team Bloodsport this past season. So we have a lot to talk about, but welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Happy to talk.
Absolutely. As I mentioned before the interview, I'm not wearing the appropriate shirt. Sorry, Curtis. I need to buy a Bloodsport shirt, obviously. So
we'll get you hooked up. Don't worry.
But yeah, so lots of cool stuff to talk about. Now, before we get into any of your NHRL robots, as obviously you have a few of them, I do want to kind of touch on World Championship VII because, you got to be part of Team Bloodsport, which is really cool. I mean, there's so many super talented people on that team. What was it like for you to get to go to BattleBots and be part of that experience?
BattleBots was one of the coolest experiences of my life. It's like a 2-week long summer camp where you go and build robots with all your friends and you just put your life on pause for 2 weeks and go play around in Vegas with robots. It's amazing and there's nothing else like it. So
yes,
yeah,
that is true. It is definitely a different, I mean, after my, like, having been to both a BattleBots taping and been to a Norwalk event, there's certainly similarities, but I think with BattleBots being a television production that's not happening live, it's a little bit of a different experience.
Yeah, it is also the most tiring 2-week vacation you'll ever have. Like, yeah, you gotta take 2 weeks PTO from work, but it is not a vacation at all.
It is a lot of work. I can verify.
Yeah.
Lots going on in those pits, even all the way up until those final days. So yeah. Well, that is really awesome. So yeah. Now you did that. Hopefully we'll continue to see you with Team Bloodsport in the future. But in the meantime, you've got a lot of other robots that you're working on, and they are some very cool robots and some very good robots. So first, I kind of want to touch on Eruption, because if I'm remembering correctly when I was looking at the list, Eruption's not going to be there for the June event, right?
Correct. So Eruption was my first ever combat robot. I started it in 2020. It was my pandemic hobby. That's when I got into it. Eruption had a good run, but Eruption is now retired. I will no longer be fighting with that robot.
Gotcha.
It was a lot of fun. It hit really, really hard. And it did very well. It got me a golden dumpster at one point, but it is just not able to keep up with the pace of Norwalk weights anymore. It was too much of a pain to actually make and maintain, and now that I'm not going to have access to WPI's machine shop as easily as I once did, it's no longer feasible to continue with that robot. So I'm excited to move on with Fireball.
Yes, which I love Fireball. I know a number of builders that are very scared of that robot, and I think for good reason. But let's talk about that one because I mentioned this before, but I think that it is so awesome that you have Fire Nation symbols from Avatar: The Last Airbender on these wheels, and with a name like Fireball, I think that's very appropriate.
Yeah. So I guess to start with the name is from one of my favorite beverages that you might be familiar with. I love it. you might see some more robots from Team WPI come along with a similar theming soon. Yeah, and then aside from that, my robots are generally a like volcano named theme. Like I have Eruption, I have Caldera, Fireball is kind of in that same vein. And when I've run molded wheels on Eruption and Caldera in the past, I always imprint the Fire Nation symbol from Avatar: The Last Airbender on there, just because I think it's fun.
Absolutely. Now, what I think is actually funny now that I know the story behind the name, because I was very divided in what I thought the name came from. I was like, maybe it came from an Avatar thing, maybe it came from the drink, or maybe it came from the Pitbull song. I'm not really sure.
Oh, yeah, actually, I was just working on this last night. Now when I turn the robot on, it plays Fireball by Pitbull on the brushless ESCs.
Excellent. That is perfect. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how Fireball does in the event. And I think I saw that Fireball was in a Jersey event recently.
Yes. Yep. So I brought so Fireball competed at the last Norwalk and went 1-1. It was okay. Definitely had some teething issues with it. I didn't really take any damage at that tournament, but apparently I underspec the batteries and the batteries died 2.5 minutes in. So I came back, I adjusted things, and then brought it down to that New Jersey event this past weekend, and use it as like a test and tune for the this coming Norwalk. And I'm very, very happy with how the robot is doing. Um, the New Jersey event was a lot of fun. It was nice to go to like a laid back, where they're not coming at you like you got 20 minutes to finish your robot or you will be disqualified. Whew. So it was a fun event. Caldera ended up winning the whole thing, and Eruption got, or not Eruption, it's Fireball now. I'm sorry. Uh, Fireball got third. Um, though technically it was fighting as an exhibition robot because Fireball is actually overweight. It's a 3.5 pound robot, and I use a 0.5 pound mini bot in accordance with the Norwalk rule set.
Makes sense. No, that's pretty awesome. And speaking of Caldera, I mean, the number 4 ranked Beetle in NHRL, and in the May event, you made the finals versus Droopy,
Yes.
who is inevitable.
Yeah, I agree with that. Droopy was such an awkward opponent. We had absolutely no strategy going in. It was just like, well, we'll hit it and see what happens. It's probably not going to go very well, but I don't know what else to do. Um,
Yes, that
yeah.
is true. Now, I can say, having participated in that event, I mean, June I think is even more like stacked in terms of robots, but I
Oh
mean,
my God, yeah.
May was pretty stacked. I mean, it was very difficult, especially getting into those later stages with like the level of talent that was still in at that point. So, I mean, you had to feel good about getting at least to the finals.
Yeah, I'm very, very proud of Caldera and the work that my dad has been putting into that robot. Uh, Caldera has not changed particularly much in the last like 2 years, but my dad has been doing a great job just making like little tweaks and fine adjustments. And when it loses, fix that small thing that broke. And we've done that, 15 times now. And I guess now it's just out of little things to lose to, and it's doing well. Caldera is 24-2 in 2023. So it's really, really doing well this year. So
That is pretty amazing. Now I definitely want to talk about Waddles because I'm not sure how Penguin goes with the volcano theme, but there could be penguins at a volcano. It's tough to say. So I think it's a cool departure from what else you've done. I mean, obviously it's a 30 pound,
yeah,
and I think I'm pretty sure that it was Anna Zolnikov said that her bot's been destroyed by Waddles at least once. So, I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, so Waddles is the 30-pound robot that I work on with my friends from the WPI Combat Club. On paper, I'm the captain of the team, but in reality, it's just we all have the vision for the robot and work on it, and I'm the driver, so I guess maybe that weighs a little bit more, but it's our project as a group. Um, Waddles is a two-wheel drive modular robot that was heavily inspired by like the old Silent Spring. So we can choose either an undercutter or a vertical spinner. And I think that flexibility will help us out a lot now that we've kind of gotten the robot dialed. Uh, the purpose of Waddles is to be more of a learning experience and educational robot than something that's like very competitive. Um, we machine the robot entirely ourselves at WPI, so it gives some of us more experience machining larger parts that we wouldn't usually get just like in the academic work at WPI and making our beetle weights. It's very, very different working on the 30 pounder. It's much more similar to a heavyweight. So
That's what I've heard. Even though you would think that it would be closer to a beetle because weight wise they're closer, but
right.
it's really not.
Yeah, well, if you do out the math with like the square cubed law and everything, it is actually exactly halfway between a beetle weight and a 250. If you were to put a beetle weight, a 30 pound, and a 250-pound robot all next to each other, the 30 pound would be twice as big as the 3 pound, and the 250 would be twice as big as the 30. So what that means is that I think a lot of 30 pounds are either built like a big beetle weight or like a small heavyweight. And depending on which like mentality you go with, uh, you'll yield different results.
I never thought of it that way before, but that is a really good point. I mean, what have you found? Because obviously, you've had the Beatles and things like that. What have you found to be the different challenges between the two of them?
Ooh, 30 pound is the weight class where 30 printed parts don't really work anymore. Um, TPU works for some things, but not everything. Everything needs to be much more rigid, much more solid, which means it's either way more expensive or you have to put way more time in the machine shop into the robot. It's also the weight class where BL Heli for brushless motors doesn't really work anymore. So you have a much greater challenge working with like Vesks and things to get the robots functional. And in that respect, it's more similar to a heavyweight, whereas beetle weight stuff is more plug and play. Like for beetle weights, you can just go on rectified robotics or repeat robotics or whatever and just buy a drive system for it, and it'll probably work pretty well. That doesn't exist for 30 pounds. You have to do it yourself. So a lot more in depth.
Yes, which certainly explains why there's so many Beatles and there's not as many 12 and 30-pound robots out
Right.
there.
Plus, they're like 4 times as expensive or something. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You just add a little bit of weight to the robot and the cost goes
Oh my
way
God,
up.
it's crazy. Yeah.
That is great. I mean, do you think though that the more that people get into building, at the 3-pound weight class, that given the fact that with the Beatles now, it's not, I don't want to say it's
Yeah.
not as accessible, but I mean, you get to that cap really fast. We have to
It's
like have the cap now. So do you think more people are going to be considering going into the higher weight classes?
oh, definitely. Definitely. Beetle weights at Norwalk is not what it once was. It's not the same experience. It's not quite as enjoyable as it once was. Not to say that it's bad now, and I want to see it keep growing, but it's not it lost a lot of the attractiveness that it once had. And because of that, I think we're definitely seeing more people lean towards 12 and 30s. I know I myself am starting to lean towards 12s and 30s more. Um, but then you have like Team Defective with all of their 12-pound robots, and like Michael Shore with Voxel. Voxel's not a 3-pounder anymore, it's a 12-pounder, and I don't think he has any inkling to go back to 3-pound. 3-pound is just very, very cutthroat at this point, and with the pressure of the 20-minute rule really coming down on you, it's not what it used to be. Yeah.
Yes, especially once you get towards the later stages of the day, then it's like,
Oh yeah.
I just had a match. What are you talking about? I need to have my robot ready again.
Yeah, and when they hand out the physical timers that say like 20 minutes or 22 minutes or whatever on them, oh yeah.
I never got a physical timer, so I guess I'm lucky.
When you make it to the end of the day, they will hand you this like black and red physical timer, and if the timer goes up and you're not ready to go, uh-oh. Yeah.
Note to self, learn how to fix everything myself instead of going to someone and being like, here, can you do
Fix
this
it.
for
Yeah.
me?
Yeah. If you're a 3-pound builder and you want to make it to the end of the day at NHRL now, multiple robots is not optional. You have to have at least two to be realistically successful.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is a challenge. And I think, you know, depending on what someone's level of competitiveness is, they might, you know, want to be in that mix because they like that high level of competition. I mean,
Oh
not to
yeah.
say the 12s and 30s aren't, because I think that they are. I mean, I think you have your own unique issues with having a smaller group, because then so many people in that group are so good and so dialed in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 3-pound has this level of accessibility to it because it's not so expensive that you can iterate and iterate and iterate without like going broke in the process. So because of that, the 3-pound robots that we have are just at the top level are incredibly dialed. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. So yeah, I mean, is there anything specific for this June event that you're looking forward to or looking to accomplish?
Well, I'm gonna beat Silent Spring. Yup, that's gonna happen. Uh, I want Fireball to qualify. That's the number one thing. Caldera obviously has already qualified. Fireball is not yet. And I want to boost Fireball's ranking a little bit. It's ranked 320 right now, which is nice because like Eruption has been a top ranked robot for several years now. So it's cool to be able to just reset and work my way back up the ranking. So I'm hoping that this tournament can be a good start to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you, I'm pretty sure that Jamison Go watches a lot, if not all, of the shows that I post. So you've
I'm
been
calling you
called
out,
out.
JMO. Get Silent Spring ready.
um yeah, well, you know, I certainly wish you the best of luck with that. It is a challenging robot, but not completely unbeatable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why can I not think of the name right now? Crash Fest almost, you know, almost did it. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I beat him in December. I'm proud to say that I knocked him out of December champs last year with Eruption, but Eruption's no more. I have a different robot now, so we'll see how it stacks up. Fireball doesn't have as big of a wedge as Eruption did, so his undercutter is probably going to be a little bit stronger against Fireball than it was against Eruption, and it's a different challenge now. I still have a net losing record against him that I need to, you know, get back in the positive. So I'm excited.
well, I am excited too. It's going to be an amazing weekend, I think. Now, I mean, do you have any set plans for events or anything like that after this June event, or is it just going to be like, you know, hanging out until it's time for the November championships?
Well, I have not missed a Norwalk since July of 2020. I've been and competed at every single one, which is like 19 events in a row or something. And I don't plan on breaking that streak anytime soon. So I'll be at every Norwalk for the rest of the year, just continuing to dial in the robots. Someone has to someone has to stop Calvin from winning another championship. So, and my robots aren't quite there yet. I think Caldera is very close to that point. I'm confident in that robot next time it fights Lynx. Fireball needs a little bit more work to get to that point. So just more competing more times with it and iterating more. That's the name of the game before November championships this year.
Awesome. Well, when Poison Apple is built, which I intend to have built within the next couple of months, it's coming for Fireball.
Oh yeah.
um yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. My plan is September. That's my plan. So we'll see how that
Cool.
goes.
Yeah. I need as much driving practice with Fireball as I can get. It's so fast. It doesn't gyro like Eruption did. So I can actually drive it like a reasonable person, but it's so fast that I can't hang on to it right now.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I think that was probably my experience, was just, wow, this thing is fast. How am I going to control it? So, you
Yeah.
know, it's an interesting problem to have. But
Yeah. Fireball is roughly 50% faster than Eruption ever was. And it it's probably it is on par with the speed of Lynx. So it is just incredible to hang on to. I need more practice.
yep. Well, I'm sure that you will get it with, you know, 3 more events to go before the November championships. So exciting stuff. But you know, we'll be obviously looking out for your robots in the June event here upcoming, and then the rest of the year. But yeah, it sounds like lots of exciting things in store for you.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited to continue working with Bloodsport and yeah, uh, I love what I'm doing with the robots nowadays.
Awesome. Well, you know, for fans that are watching, obviously continue to follow Brian and everything that he's doing. Follow Team Bloodsport and just continue supporting combat robotics. Support this show. You know, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff, so that we can continue bringing you interviews every week here. And we'll see everybody next time on the show.